TVZ for us here, Madals.
It's going to be a good one. We just saw an amazing TVZ. Thanks for everyone staying tuned. And well, spawning up in the top left-hand position, we have got the pink Terran player representing Max Flow. We have souL. And to the top right, his opponent, the blue Zerg player, it is Dimaga. We got some sneaky snuff coming out here right now.
Does he dare go for the same exact build that we saw him knock out Golden with here? It looks like the answer, well, it's a resounding yes.
And hey, if you can knock out Golden with it, you might as well try your luck with it. It's a best of 3 as well. So if it does all go to pieces, you haven't really lost out too much. So look on the bright side there. There comes down the barracks. If it's exactly the same, we should see a gas and then a second barracks started up proxied in order to go for the 2 proxy racks Reaper build.
And no inclination yet for Dimaga that this is coming. The first Overlord just going over the gold base now. The second Overlord queued up for the ramp here, so it's not going to quite make it over into that corner where that oh so important information is being held there from souL. He's going to go for the hatchery. Is he? Oh, look at this Overlord. Check this out from Dimaga.
Is he going to see it? Does he?
Yes.
Oh, this is a beautiful scout. Dimaga can now start to prepare for this.
I mean, just such a nice play there from him. And he did get, I would be shocked if he goes for the second barracks. It is just going to be the one for now. But, this is the build that he just played against on a much larger map. The barracks much further away. The 8-8. And even, oh, there's the second barracks. Look at this guy. He does not quit.
By putting it in a different position, it is out of vision range of that Overlord. So Dimaga doesn't know that it's coming.
It's like as barely out of range as out of range can be here. That's a wild placement here from souL. He really wants it to be as close as it possibly can be. The spawning pool just under halfway done here. No gas is being taken yet for the Zerg player. And, well, how will the defense be here, I guess, is the question from Dimaga. What will his reaction be?
Well, the concern for Dimaga is that he won't make enough lings because he only sees the single barracks at the moment. He may suspect that it's just the 1 Rax Reaper build, which is a lot more common. The second barracks is not particularly usual or something that many Terran players do, so it could catch him off guard.
Now, the first drone does fall here, and the next 2 Reapers are queued up here. The second one will join the party soon, then the third one soon to follow. This Reaper has already done some damage. How much damage does he need to do here, Madals, in order for this to be worth it?
Well, with the 2 Raxes, it's got to be quite a lot because this is a big investment coming down from souL. Racking up a couple more worker kills though. Generally, if he gets it down below that of souL's worker count, he's going to be feeling quite confident. But with the double queens coming out, it's a lot of work to be done.
And the third Reaper does finish up here. It will join the party soon, and yet he is going to keep the Reapers coming here. He stopped momentarily. I thought maybe he was going to stop at 3. The answer to that is no. As we talked about before, 3 Reapers do 2-shot drones here, so there is quite a bit more firepower than just the 2 Reapers might have added. His queens are getting low. No energy for transfuses yet. He is targeting down the queen. Well, that is lower here. And he pulls back and has to reset here. Dimaga desperately, Madals, trying to just stabilize.
Adding in an additional 2 queens, going up to 4 in total. Needs some heavy hitters and also some tanky units to try and zone out these Reapers. Already, we see souL up to 4 with 5 and 6 coming through. Transfuse just on the mark. And this is a really tough position for Dimaga.
Yeah, Dimaga, all these queens are really going to help. He's even getting 2 more here. He understands that those units are the answer for him. And, well, more and more Reapers coming out. These queens are going to try to focus down these barracks, but that low hit point queen is exposed. Can souL pick it off here? He does, and he immediately falls back. I don't believe... Oh, he's lost 1 Reaper so far. So really nice control from him. He has dipped below that number you mentioned before, Madals, of having more Harvesters than his opponent. Although there are 6 drones coming out for Dimaga, we do see souL taking his expansion behind this.
One of these barracks is in a bit of a dangerous position here, but the Reaper's going to really capitalize on that to try and move in, go for a couple more worker kills, and on a bit of a suicide run here actually. See, all the queens are at the natural base, bar 1, and hoping to use that to his advantage. Without the creep adjoining the main and natural, that does mean the 4 queens are going to take a bit longer to get up here, but these Reapers are almost certainly all going to die.
And how many workers end up falling here? Looks like 12 so far 4 Reapers, though, still alive here. So
I take it back.
The fun isn't over. Just barely finding some wiggle room around the outside there. But if you look, Dimaga is just droning up behind this. He doesn't feel like he needs anything more than these queens in order to try and deal with this. But the mobility of the Reapers is absolutely running him ragged here. And we see souL behind this. He's put on so much pressure with this. He's just getting a 3rd command center very quickly behind this, getting a reactor on a factory. He doesn't even feel the need to make units of his own right now. He's in a pretty decent spot map control-wise, and he knows he's really stunted Dimaga.
The important thing is that Dimaga needs to make those drones, and souL is 100% aware of that. So he's using that reliance on his opponent to try and get up a good economy, to actually go greedy himself, to level it out. And this puts pressure on Dimaga. He needs to shut down these Reapers, gets another one. And that's actually a really important pickoff, because as you've repeatedly said, Liaison, 3 Reapers, 2 shot, 2 Reapers are a lot less scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dimaga, I mean, credit him for knowing it's as you've talked about the big thing as a Zerg player. When do you drone? When do you build units? And he has droned throughout this Reaper aggression when I think a lot of Zerg players would have tried to build Zerglings to try and deal with this. And he's stayed stubborn. His queens will do the damage he needs to, and he can continue to build drones. And he has. He's taking the rest of his gases in his, or both gases I should say, in his natural. He has yet to take any gases in his main yet, and laying down a Roach Warren as well as the gold base here.
These queens edging forward, and the big advantage of having more of these queens is the creep spread is fantastic. There's so many active creep tumors coming down for Dimaga at the moment, and that's giving him some added security at this gold. And the gold as a decision is just really solid. He knows he can hold it. With so many Reapers and such an investment in those Reapers, there won't be too much else threatening really that 3rd anytime soon from souL. So where does souL go from here, Liaison? What does he want to aim to do?
Well, he seems to be setting himself up for, to tell you the truth, it looked like it was going to be some sort of mech play. He's going for the Banshee despite seeing all of these queens, which to me is a rather interesting choice. He gets the reactor on the barracks, and I wonder if he's going to just pump out a couple Marines at a time. He does have Stim coming out, so he will be going into Bio, and this Banshee play, I'm just not sure how much damage he'll be able to do with all these queens out.
And spores. They're now just getting started up as well. This is going to be a very interesting position for souL to be in. Let's be frank, he was expecting to win with that proxy 2 Rax Reaper build. That was his goal. So everything from this is probably a bit off the cuff. Whereas Dimaga, he's now going into his more comfort zone. Managed to pick off a good number of these Hellions, but has done a nice amount of drone damage too.
Yeah, I mean, they're even on workers, which from souL's perspective is really nice. The bad news for him is Dimaga can produce 10 drones at a time like he's pretty much doing right now with his production cycle. So that can get well in favor of the Zerg player quite quickly. All these queens, though, seem pretty prepared for these Banshees. He waited for the 2nd Banshee and Cloak to finish before coming in here towards this gold base. But as you talked about, Spore Crawlers everywhere. And, well, what is he really going to be able to do as far as real permanent drone damage or even queen damage here, taking any of those out?
He can get a couple of the drones out on the fringe, out of the range of that Spore Crawler, but it's only going to be a couple, no major damage. And of course the response from Dimaga to this is all thanks to some amazing scouting. He saw the starport on the tech lab. He got that information thanks to the Overlord, proving that really, if you want to be playing Zerg or any race at this level, getting that information really is key.
Yeah, and the important thing for him now is to read that it is in fact Bio coming out from souL. As we saw, he hasn't seen the natural at all. He sees the gold base coming over, but he hasn't seen the natural. He doesn't know about the Stim being researched on the tech lab, and he does seem to have read this somehow. Here he's getting the Spire, he's getting a Baneling Nest down.
He's seen both Evos in the barracks. That's what's given it away.
Yeah, he just came in and saw all of that, it seems like just a moment ago, and, well, souL's trying to put pressure on here. There are no medevacs to support this force, and he is forcing out some Roaches and some Zerglings, though.
These Roaches are a good, solid choice at this stage. Of course, the downside of the gold base is what we're seeing now, is that Terran players can assault it quite easily from this position, but the Banshee goes down. That's a nice pick-off. Scan is now the only high ground vision, but the Roaches, without the medevac support on the infantry, are more than enough to deflect this for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dimaga is in a really comfortable position here. I mean, You do see the souL, the Terran player souL getting his 1-1 upgrades finishing up, but once this Spire finishes up for Dimaga, he's really going to be able to put on pressure. And if you look, you know, for those turrets in the Terran base, well, you're not going to see many. There really aren't any out there for him. These mutas, if they do catch souL by surprise, which they're seeming to, could be quite a headache.
So a nice little move now. Those Marines just backing out of the engagement as best they can. Trying to just kite the banelings away. Doesn't want to get a big hit there. Look at the worker count though. It's pretty level at the moment.
And both players have taken the gold base. We see Dimaga trying to take this 4th base, but this small army now with 4 medevacs as they're produced 2 at a time quite quickly out of that starport. Well, they're starting to push forward, and Dimaga needs to make units to try and defend this. He's got a really nice engagement on the ramp here. Focuses down to Madals, gets the liftoff on the majority of the remaining Marines here, and flies on out.
My concern for Dimaga is just purely his drone count. And while he has looked in a relatively comfortable position, souL has done an amazing job of keeping that income level and actually in his advantage, so he can keep on this pressure. Add in the fact that overall, in terms of resources lost, Dimaga isn't really trading that well. Actually, souL is in a really nice spot here.
Yeah, I mean, the armory's finishing up here for him. He can get his 2-2 upgrades as soon as that is done here. And this 4th base, as you mentioned, has finished for Dimaga, but he doesn't have drones to saturate it.
Both players sitting at that kind of just over 60 mark on the worker tab, but well, souL at the moment sieging up that gold base, and these tanks are going to be such a nuisance.
Yeah, and the medevacs can provide that high ground vision for him. The Marines stim in, expecting some sort of armor to come in. The spread from Dimaga, expecting the engagement in that choke point between his natural and his... He's actually going to have to evacuate these drones here. This is really nice play from souL.
souL has also got a beautifully placed Widow Mine just on the one choke in towards those tanks. If any banelings come rolling through, it will cause a lot of problems. And remember, if the lings are just charged through, speedlings don't trigger Widow Mines if they run through their entire detonation range. So it would be the banelings that took the brunt of the force.
And, well, this small group of Marines, really 3 Marines and a siege tank are in range of this gold base right now. Dimaga knows...
Oh no, the 4th! The 4th is getting shredded by a single drop as well.
And all over the map here is souL. Really, really good play. He picks up, saves all of those units. There are a lot of them are in the orange and red, but now he's dropping into the natural, picking off queens. This guy's everywhere. He's got to drop in the main base as well. Still focusing on that 3rd base. Dimaga is being pulled apart.
This is very, very tense right now for Dimaga, because he's lost a lot of workers. He's down to only 35 drones. His gold base is falling. It's fallen. And his 4th has been absolutely ransacked. souL is playing a beautiful game of StarCraft right now.
And we talked about Dimaga being even in workers. He is now down, well, 7 workers after some more drones do come off.
Where do you go right now from this position as Dimaga? Because he's stuck really on the back foot. He needs to drone. Like, that is just a definite. If he doesn't, he can't outlast souL. But he's got to crush this army. He's going for it now, moving in with those mutas. The lings trying to chase it down. The banelings coming on through. But there's just too much Terran.
Yeah, there's a lot of army here for souL. 2-2 is finishing up for Dimaga, which is like the one thing he's kind of got going for him here. souL has eyes for this 3rd base, and why wouldn't he? He knows how important this is to Dimaga, and he's got a huge advantage in army. His upgrades not too far behind themselves, and this is a scary, scary Terran army here.
Where do you go as Dimaga? Because he's trying to expand out, trying to take more bases, but these are all risks that he has to take. But souL is just capitalizing on them.
I mean, you have to hope that souL looks to engage. You can catch him on creep with banelings, trade as cost efficiently as possible against the Marines, and then feel comfortable enough to drone up behind it. And I just don't think that souL is going to give him that opportunity. He has played this game so far too well to make you feel that he's going to push a little bit prematurely like that with the majority of his army. You see he's bringing up small groups of units, 5 or 6 Marines at a time, and siege tanks behind them, spread out behind that with the rest of his army, knowing that if those lings and banelings come in like they do, multiple angles, really nice engagement from Dimaga. And this is what I was talking about. He was able to crush through a lot of that here, but he's still behind in the army count. He's still behind in the drone count, or worker count as well. Just a huge army here for souL, but a lot of it was cleaned up just there.
More reinforcements coming in. souL behind this has taken a 4th base, so he's on equal bases with Dimaga still up in the SCV count. Engagement now coming through. Those Mutalisks able to pick apart a couple of the tanks, a couple of the medevacs. More banelings trying to morph through. souL simultaneously has gone for a drop up in the main base, although that is getting cleaned up quite nicely with some good transfuses on the 2 queens there. souL can't end this out yet, but the longer this game goes on equal bases, on equal workers, the better it gets for the Terran player.
Yeah, the medevacs, though, for souL are now out of energy, so these stims are suddenly not going to be coming all over the place here. He is still producing medevacs 2 at a time, and he's got quite a few siege tanks coming along as well. 3 of them coming all together here. So he's got eyes for this 4th base, the more kind of conventional 4th base for the Zerg player in this matchup. And the question really just becomes, can Dimaga hold it?
It is a bit of an awkward spot to hold, because these tanks are going to keep edging on forward, but it also going to be quite tough for souL to move up. These tight chokes, these tight ramps are a little bit awkward if he's the one moving up and down them and the banelings get in a good position. But looks like he's broken up there. Dimaga has to move forward with those banelings, but the detonations aren't that incredible. That means this 4th hatch will fall, and Dimaga is suddenly going to be forced to go all in.
Here comes the engagement. The hatch stayed alive with 13 health. The Marines split wonderfully off creep. The Mutas do focus down the tanks, but it's just Marines against Mutas left here. 30 Lings on the way to accompany the 14 that are currently on the map. That's not going to be enough, obviously, in time to protect this 4th base. Suddenly, Dimaga back down to 3 bases, and he's still stuck in the mid or to low 60s as far as drone count.
Dimaga, in all of the mid and up until this point of the game, has been trading equally with his opponent, which is good for a Zerg. But unfortunately for Dimaga, his economy is nowhere near shaping up. Trying to move in, trying to get those baneling hits, but souL, his splits are just brilliant.
Yeah, really, really good play here. Another engagement attempted here by Dimaga, but before it almost even begins, he has to pull back. It's too good right now from souL with the +3 weapons. He is shredding everything with the infantry. He's even got +2 for his Hellbats coming in, and here comes some baneling detonations. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough. A lot of Marines remain here. 24 of them do stim on forward. And, well, this hatch not long for this world. And has souL taken game 1 here, Madals?
It certainly looks like it. Dimaga trying to cling on, those Mutas engaging head on. But GG is called, and souL is going to take game number 1 of this best of 3.